Do you ever notice this? Some people can text back in seconds, but the moment you call them, they disappear like they were never there. And instantly, everyone assumes the worst. He doesn't care. She's avoiding me. Something must be wrong with them. But what if I told you this isn't the full story? That what you see on the surface barely scratches what's actually happening underneath? Because behind the people who would rather text all day than take a 5-minute phone call is a psychological system so intricate, most of us have misunderstood them completely. Today, you're going to hear the 5 reasons they choose texting over calling. And by the end of this video, you might realize something surprising. The person you once judged might actually be the most thoughtful one in the room. First, their brain is more sensitive than you think. A lot of people like this have what psychologists call a highly sensitive processing system. Their brain doesn't just listen to your words, it picks up your breathing, your pauses, the tiny cracks in your voice, and the little emotional shifts hidden between sentences. For most people, a phone call is just exchanging information. For them, it's like watching a movie with 2 layers: the layer everyone hears, and the emotional layer underneath that they're decoding in real time. They're not too sensitive. They're not weak. They're running mental overtime because their brain is tracking 100 tiny signals every time the phone rings. And here's the twist: that sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a sign of a nervous system that's tuned in, empathetic, and incredibly deep. The kind of deep that notices things most people never even see. But the second reason is the one that really drains them. For them, a phone call isn't just back and forth talking. It's a moment where their brain has to handle everything at once: your speed, your tone, your mood, the things you say and the things you don't say, and all the awkward silence in between. Most people can just react on instinct. They can talk while they think. But these people need a slower rhythm to choose their words, regulate their emotions, and make sure they don't accidentally hurt you. Texting gives them that breathing room. A call doesn't. So, are they lazy for not picking up? Or are they simply trying not to overload a brain that's already working at full capacity in real time? Because if you look closely, the way they slow down is not a weakness at all. It's a sign of someone who is trying to get it right, careful, thoughtful, and deeply respectful of both sides of the conversation. There's something they rarely say out loud. Sometimes they end a call not because they're avoiding you, but because they're afraid they'll say something they don't mean while their emotions are still tangled. Have you ever held back a sentence because you didn't want to hurt someone you care about? For them, that feeling shows up faster and hits a lot deeper. One shaky breath, one rushed line, one emotion that hasn't settled yet, any of it can be misunderstood. And in those moments, what they truly want isn't distance. It's a safer way for both sides to communicate. And if all of this is starting to make sense, the third reason will show you even more clearly why texting feels better than picking up the phone. Texting turns off almost all the pressure of being judged in real time. There's a concept in psychology called reduced social threat. The brain relaxes when it doesn't feel watched. A phone call does the opposite. You hear your own voice shaking. You worry about replying too slowly. You dread the awkward silences and the tiny things someone might judge, even something as small as the sound of your breathing. Texting removes nearly all of that. No eyes on you, no shaky voice, no demand to respond instantly. No demand to, just the message itself. Clearer, calmer, easier to navigate. They're not afraid of people. They're afraid of being expected to perform before their mind is ready. And here's the irony: that sensitivity is actually a form of emotional intelligence. It makes them more honest with their feelings and more careful with the feelings of others. And once you understand this, everything else starts to fall into place. Texting becomes a buffer that helps them regulate their emotions. For them, texting isn't avoidance. It's a space where their feelings can settle before their words come out. Because on a phone call, emotions can escalate fast. One sharp tone, one unexpected pause, and suddenly a simple conversation feels like a confrontation. Texting gives them time to breathe, to think, to avoid saying something they don't actually mean. It's slow enough to prevent misunderstandings, but steady enough to keep the connection alive. They don't choose texting because they're less sincere. They choose it because they want the conversation to stay gentle, accurate, and as unhurtful as possible for both sides. And the ability to pause, regulate, and respond, instead of reacting on impulse, is a form of emotional maturity most people never learn. They also need to feel in control of their communication rhythm. People like this have a strong need for autonomy, the freedom to decide when, how, and in what emotional state they engage in a conversation. While many can answer the moment the phone rings, they need a slower beat, time to shape their words, organize their feelings, or simply take a breath before speaking about something important. Texting gives them that choice. A phone call doesn't. They're not distant. They're not indifferent. They just want to show up when their mind is truly ready, not because they're pulled in, but because they choose to be present. And here's the beautiful part: knowing their own limits and protecting their energy is a rare form of inner self respect. And it's healthier than most people realize. So the next time you see someone read your message instantly, but take a long time to reply, don't rush to assume they're avoiding you or that they don't care. Even people like Elon Musk, Emma Watson, and Keanu Reeves have openly said they feel safer communicating through text than through phone calls. They're not less capable. They're not cold. They simply have a mind that feels more, notices more, and processes the world more deeply than most people ever realize. They don't need to speak loudly to prove their worth, and neither do you. Confidence isn't always volume. Sometimes, choosing the way you communicate is the real strength. If you choose texting over calling, that doesn't make you distant. It means you understand your own mind better than anyone else. Not every conversation has to happen in real time, but every honest conversation should come from a mind that's ready to be present. So remember these three things. Your sensitive brain processes signals more deeply. Phone calls drain your energy faster than you think, and texting takes away most of the pressure to perform on the spot. Last week, someone told me they always hang up when their phone rings, and after hearing all this, it was the first time in their life they stopped blaming themselves for it. If you also feel safer communicating through text, type one word: texting. There are far more people like you than you think. If you've ever been misunderstood as hard to read, watch the next video. And if you want to know why you overthink every message, the next one will open your eyes. Thank you for staying until the very end. You're not strange, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. You're simply living at the rhythm that fits you, and it's more beautiful than you realize. I'll see you in the next video.